You are sitting in the dark right now. The cold, blue glow of the screen is the only thing illuminating your face. You are deeply engrossed in a high-budget true crime documentary. And instantly, a quiet, almost involuntary, but entirely confident voice in your head whispers, "I would have caught that. I know exactly who did it." This happens to you every single night. You probably think this feeling is just harmless arrogance. You are completely wrong. This is not a harmless hobby. This is a profound, deeply wired survival mechanism firing off in your subconscious mind. Your brain is not playing a fun parlor game. It is running a frantic, high-stakes simulation to keep you alive. Ask any criminal psychologist. They will tell you that humans inherently possess a strong moral compass. We want to see justice served. But modern neurology completely destroys this comforting theory. We do not consume these horrific stories to see justice. We consume them to gain a fleeting illusion of control over absolute, unfiltered chaos. In recent years, cognitive scientists at Harvard and MIT place subjects inside fMRI machines. When you first hear about a random, senseless act of violence, your amygdala reacts violently. But the precise moment you start looking at clues, the prefrontal cortex aggressively takes over. Your brain begins releasing heavy, soothing doses of dopamine and serotonin. You are literally chemically medicating yourself with the concept of logic. Here is the hidden, terrifying truth. When you imagine yourself as the hero of the story, you are not acting as a brilliant detective. You are acting as a frightened animal desperately building a psychological shelter against the storm. Your brain physically cannot tolerate the idea of senseless violence. So it invents a story. The arrogance of thinking you can solve a cold case is your mind's ultimate defense mechanism. But here is where things get even stranger and significantly more dangerous. Because your brain does not just want to solve the puzzle. It actually prefers when the puzzle is completely impossible to solve. Researchers brought ordinary people into a dark room and showed them a screen filled with completely random moving dots. They casually mentioned there was a hidden geometric shape. Within minutes, over 80% of the people confidently claimed they could see the shape. But the screen was random. There was absolutely no shape. Now apply this exact phenomenon to history. You pin up grim photographs from the 1888 murders. Because the case is so old and full of missing information, the human brain goes into absolute overdrive. We start seeing faces in the static noise. We invent massive conspiracies involving royalty and secret societies. The less real information we have, the more brilliant we believe our deductions are. You're not just observing this phenomenon from a safe distance. You're a captive to it right now. Every time you dive deep into a historical mystery, you feel that sudden rush of deep satisfaction when pieces finally seem to click together. You are actively trying to impose strict order on a world that utterly refuses to be ordered. You use the shadows of the past to make yourself feel safe in the present. When you combine this desperate need for control with the Dunning-Kruger effect, you get a terrifying psychological cocktail. Because we have consumed hundreds of hours of highly edited true crime media, we subconsciously believe we possess the hard-earned skills of a seasoned homicide detective. We mistake the passive consumption of entertainment for the active acquisition of real expertise. This brings us to a hidden, catastrophic risk. When a modern tragedy strikes, millions of people instantly transform into a terrifying digital mob of amateur sleuths. We aggressively analyze blurry seconds of security footage. We scrutinize the micro-expressions of a grieving family member. We decide with absolute certainty that someone is guilty simply because they did not cry the exact right way on camera. We treat real blood, real crushing grief, and real shattered families like an interactive puzzle game designed purely for our evening entertainment. We hunt for the dopamine rush of cracking the case, completely blind to the utter destruction we leave in our wake. In our desperate attempt to find the monster, we often become the very monsters we claim to be hunting. The ultimate mystery is not who committed the crime. The ultimate mystery is the detective staring directly back at you in the mirror. We are not noble hunters of the absolute truth. We are just terrified animals, huddling together around the glowing screen of a monitor, desperately trying to make the shadows make sense. We convince ourselves we can solve the murder because the alternative is simply too heavy to bear. The alternative is admitting the most horrifying truth of all. Sometimes, the monster simply walks away into the fog, and there is absolutely nothing we can do to stop it. So, I have to ask you right now, what cold case or historical mystery does your brain obsess over the absolute most? What dark puzzle are you actively using to medicate your own fear of the unknown? Think about that tonight, the next time you feel the irresistible urge to play detective. Next time, we're going to look at the chilling reality behind the most famous unsolved mystery of them all, Jack the Ripper. You will not want to miss it.